Sowders. I was in the United States Air Force from 1982 to 1986. As far at that time, it was peacetime, but they have breakdowns of wars, combat zones. It was in Grenada area. So.
Okay. What were your job responsibilities? What were your duties while you were there?
I was a crew chief on KC-135s. It's an in-flight refueling aircraft, cargo airplane. And what we did as crew chiefs was we were in charge of the plane itself, did all the pre-flights and post-flights, coordinated all maintenance on the aircraft. So if you needed a specialist for, say, hydraulics or electronics, avionics, we coordinated all that. And if the plane flew away from station, we always flew with it to take care of it while it was away. Actually, I was in 4 years and 4 months.
Okay.
I went in January of '82 and got out in May of '86.
How old were you when you joined?
Oh gosh, probably 19.
Oh wow, 19. Why did you decide to go into the military so young?
Well, I was in college and quit. I went to college for a year and quit school. College was not for me. But then you get out in the workforce and you're like, "Oh, this isn't me either." So I just decided, I'd kind of like to see the world and to do something different.
Okay.
Like I said, at the time it was peacetime. The military back then, I believe 1975 was the end of the draft. So there was no drafting, and it was what they call selective service. So when you turn, I think it's still in effect today, when you turn 18 you have to sign up for it. They take away your individualism, and then they build you back up and build you into a team.
Okay.
So it's the harshest part is the first few days. Then you kind of settle into a rhythm, and you start to understand what they're wanting. And the last 3 weeks was just a piece of cake. I mean, it was easy.
Okay.
But we did a lot of classroom, which was surprising to me. The very next day, I had orders cut for Okinawa, Japan. When I got overseas, it was a little more real world because you were near the North Koreas, you were near the Russia, you were near the Vietnams, and it was just a little bit more real to it than in the States. And I would gather the same thing in Europe because you're closer to when the wall was still up. The Eastern Bloc countries, they were ready all the time. But like Grenada, when that happened, that was, if you don't know, there was a lot of Cuban military getting involved in that island.
You said you spent time in Okinawa?
Yes.
How long did you spend there?
30 months.
30 months. Did you ever have to learn, did you get familiar with the culture and the language?
Somewhat. When I got to Okinawa, I traveled a whole lot more. I flew with my airplane more. So I was gone quite a bit. But like I said, that's when I got assigned to an aircraft, whereas in the States I wasn't, so I didn't do as much traveling at the time. But, you step off base and you're in a foreign country.
Did you ever work with any local troops?
No. We did, as far as the Air Force, most of my missions, well, I don't want to say most, say, for instance, Thailand. We had sold Thailand a bunch of F-16s. So when the United States sells that to them, then they have to train them. So as far as what I did on a tanker, our airplanes would go support, say, our airplanes and our flight crews, and maybe Thailand's flight crews as they're learning too. So what I did, anything around them, we didn't come in contact with them, but we supported them.
I know that you were awarded some medals. Can you describe when and how you got those?
The 2 medals that I have, one is a good conduct medal. If you have a clean record for, I believe it was 3 years, you get awarded that, and which I was proud of. I mean, I'm still proud of that. And then I received an achievement medal after I had left Okinawa and got out and was discharged. The folks back there put me in for it for my time served over there. And I received that like I said, probably in August after the year I got out, which was real surprising, and I was proud of that they thought that much of me.
When you came back home, where's your hometown?
Mason.
Oh, it's Mason, Ohio.
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Wow. So you grew up here. Did you go to this high school?
Not this school, but the other one. Yeah.
Right.
I graduated from Mason in 1980.
Okay, yeah. What is now Mason Middle School? Was it difficult to get back into society as just a citizen and not a soldier anymore?
No.
You didn't have any
no problems with that. No.
So you weren't homesick while you were away, but when you got back, did you miss the military? Did you?
Yes. Oh yeah. Probably not for a few years, but then I started questioning. Like I said, I started learning a little more and saying, I think I got out for the wrong reasons and all that. I always said I'd go back. If something happened, that escalated like what's going on today, and they called me back, I'd have went back in a heartbeat. And I had no problems with it. I love the military.
Right.
I still do. I mean, these veterans that I belong to the American Legion up here, and I mean through this place and the state of Ohio nationally, the brotherhood you have with veterans is unbelievable. It's so strong, and we can kid each other about branches of the military, but through thick and thin, we'd stick with them forever.
Is there anything about the military at all that you would do over again? If you could change anything about it?
Yeah. I always said I had one regret. When I was in high school here, West Point was recruiting me to play football. And at that time, as a high school kid, the military was totally off the board. You didn't even think about it. All you could think about was college and all that. I had been playing sports here, since I was a kid. I mean, not so much even high school. And I was a little bit burnt out on sports. But going to West Point, no, there was no way I was going to do that. Well, once I get in the military and start learning about it and all that, I really had all my life have regret. Would have been the greatest thing I ever did was, go to West Point. You could have had a free education. Could have been in the Army for 4 years, if not more. I mean, the education you get there and taught in military history.
I'd like to close by saying thank you for serving our country. It's a very noble and brave thing to do. A lot of people don't have an interest. They take it for granted. So thank you so much. We had a great interview.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. It was very nice to meet you.